So hi everyone. So in the meantime, what webinar you're on, what we are going to discuss today, we are going to talk about how to build fast and reliable end user analytics. So and specifically what problems you might have as a CTO, and especially, what are the principles, how to approach this problematics, how to build it in the right way so it works for you, for the teams, and for your customers. So let's start. First, who we are. So I'm Natalia. I'm CEO of DoubleCloud. Usually what I'm doing, I'm meeting a lot with different companies, with CTOs of different companies. So through years, I gathered quite a lot of experience that I wanted to share today. And we have Benjamin with us. So Ben, who are you and what are you doing here at this webinar?
Hi, everyone. I'm Ben, CISO of DoubleCloud, and I think it's a good question, Natalia, but what's very interesting from my perspective is the fact that the webinar touches on a very important point around, data analytics and data use cases. And being in a data-driven function, security is, I think it's also important because as, data grows and customers are, using more and more data to make decisions, I think we want to understand how this impact organizations and CTOs, how do they make those decisions, and from a security perspective also, dogfooding some of the technologies as well to, provide insights into some of the, security observability data as well. So that's one of the reasons why I'm here to, engage in this conversation and understand some of the use cases.
Perfect. Well, welcome. Let's now have a little of a discussion. So we go directly into some of the things that matter. So if you're a CTO, so let's imagine you're a CTO, you just joined the company or you got promoted. Congratulations. Now, one of the important thing of what you're going to deal with depends on what stage of the company you're in. So, and usually we are dividing all the companies into three types. You're either in some startup, this is before 200 employees. And usually at this stage, you have some problems, but the major problem you have is that you don't have enough of hands to execute. And this lack of resources actually stopping you from doing some great things, or sometimes it's actually influeing the choice of the tools because you try to overcome this lack of resources, you do some choices, and then you will, because of these choices, you will have some problems later. So the second stage of the company is when you start growing. So it's approximately around 200 employees. So what's happening at this stage is that unexpectedly, you start seeing a lot of data, too much data. Unexpectedly, you have big engineering teams. Previously you could have discussed everything around one table, but now people are actually sitting in different places and things are completely going out of control. And that's a problem. And that's also the moment when you will have to, you will be obliged to change the tools and question your previous choices. And then there is a mature company. So when it's approximately around 1,000 people, when usually your major problem is that your data use cases now are sitting in different parts of the organization, and half of your time you're actually trying to understand who owns what part of the data stack, and then it creates different problems as well. So when you're a CTO and you're trying to build an efficient and user analytics, actually ask yourself what type of a company you're in, because then your approaches will be pretty much different and you will have to do different choices.
Right. I think those are very important distinctions, right? In terms of our customers at this point, and also looking at the various stages, right? How we support them. And so I think we will discuss some of the use cases going forward, but it would be important to maybe if you could elaborate a bit on where you see, the main focus or target for this particular analytics use case. Does it apply to all different stages, or there's some stage that you think makes the most sense for CTOs to start focusing on, migrating to more performant analytics services?
I think it's a stage 2. Because, when you already have too many things in certain tools, migration is extremely hard. So it means, for example, if you're joining at stage 3 of the company and you're trying to solve something, you will start making an impact maybe really in 2-3 years because it takes time. But at stage 2, there is the business need that pushes you to go and change the tools and have immediate business impact. And this is such an exciting time and place to be, because you have a real business impact. Things are moving fast. You actually choose the projects you're working on. And at the same time, you're no longer limited by resources, so you can really accomplish what you've always been dreaming accomplishing as a CTO.
Interesting. Okay, so let's talk a bit about some of the scenarios, some of the things that CTOs need to take into consideration as they start to build this, data analytics platforms, and also some of the potential issues or problems they would face. Yeah,
so we've discussed, the problems, but let's think about data analytics specifically. So usually, there are different things, and CTOs usually, when they join the company, they start thinking, and especially today, about their things like, oh, I need to establish some sort of data observability or data governance, or I need maybe to look at how much the tools cost me and maybe see where I can optimize. But actually, the reality is that this is not what's needed. Why? Because a CEO would be looking at a CTO is really indeed as the cost center, a significant cost center, from which lots of impact on the business is expected. And if this cost center still doing things that are breaking and not bringing the value to the business, then this cost center is really at risk of existence. So, and when we're thinking about data analytics specifically, what breaks from this kind of business angle perspective, there are still in today's world, there are still 4 things that are not properly working. It's about clickstream analytics. It's tough. If you think the easiest, it's been for ages there, but it's a tough problem. Marketing budget and its impact on the business. So anybody who ever tried to build a data pipeline, they would know that actually marketing investments, they would be sitting across tools like, I don't know, Google Analytics, and so on. And then the lifetime value that you're getting from your customers would be sitting, for example, in billing. And these are 2 separate systems, and you need to connect them and actually then add to this complexity, third-party acquisition of your customers and so on and so forth. So this single data pipeline and this single clickstream analytics is extremely tough challenge, and actually it's breaking, constantly not working how it should be. And then, another story is high query speeds for your analytics. The world accelerating. So what was okay 5 years ago is no longer okay. So 5 years ago, it was okay to have a query and wait for 10 seconds and get a result. Today, there are quite a lot of businesses out there for which 10 seconds is no longer appropriate, and they need a much, much faster results, because otherwise they cannot make a business decision, and business decisions is not just overall, where should they go strategically? Now, business decisions actually related to real money, should I then invest, in this advertisement or not? Should they spend that much money on search engine optimization or not? And there are very, very practical things. And then another funny story out there is a real-time dashboard. So again, we are all in the very fast-moving world today. And the dashboards that are being renewed, for example, once a day is no longer perfect for anybody. So everybody wants to have real-time dashboards where I'm tracking the KPIs that matter for me. And if that doesn't work, so again, there is a frustration in the system. And overall, on a bigger level, and we'll talk about this in a bit more, but it's about customer and partner-facing analytics. It's a beast in itself. It's complicated. So, this end user analytics targeted at customers or partners, it's completely very different beast versus, internal analytics where things were okay. But this is where business is today, and this is where revenue is, and this is what a CEO is expecting from a CTO: give the tools that work and that give a competitive edge to the company and provides value.
Yeah, absolutely. From the context of internal users, I think everyone expects data to be at their fingertips, to have real-time information, and also I think speed is critical. So just expecting this requirement, and of course trying to ensure that end users are able to access information they need as fast as possible. And also, from a security perspective, this also resonates, right? You want to make sure that you're able to analyze all of the data as quickly as possible. So there's a lot of interesting context and use cases around these scenarios. So let's dive a bit deeper into the actual fact that as the world is evolving and we're more and more data driven, it also leads to one of the main problems around huge data volume. So if you could expand on that and how this leads into some of the considerations CTOs should make.
Okay, let's have a look. So in any case, what's important to understand is that overall these problems will get worse because the amount of data is getting bigger. Pre-COVID, everybody was saying, "Oh, the data is growing so fast; it's incredible," and so on. During COVID, this obviously accelerated, but actually it doesn't stop. So the expectation, if you look at the graph here, that amount of data between today and 2025, it's just 2 years, will double. And when you think about how it will double, it's here the data is in zettabytes. Zettabytes, it's a lot of zeros. So lots of data out there, and actually we put this here on the screen. You see it's how many zeros you have if you translate gigabytes to zettabytes. But overall, it just means that the pressure on the CTO and those who are building this data analytics will be even bigger because, more data means more value. More data means more risks. How you're addressing all of this and what do you do? And then for you as a CTO, the problem is even worse because, you have too much choice. There are too many tools out there. Just the AWS, they have 16 databases, the databases, and then in RDS, there are different databases as well. And you need to make a choice, what's my use case, and then how to choose the right database for it. And quite often the mistake that CTOs are doing, that they are trying to choose the database, trying to choose the right tool, and that's not the right way to go after it. And the reason for that is very simple. Again, there are so many tools out there that it can take you 1 year just to go and choose the tool and then test it, and then you understand you make a mistake, and then you retest again, and so on and so forth. So it's just too much. Here on the screen, I put the screenshot from a cool website which is called Modern Data Stack, but you just see how many tools there are in every category, and it's just crazy. So you ask me, what's the approach, how to do it? So what I'm saying is the following. So don't spend as a CTO and you have a very specific problematic in front of you, don't spend your time on choosing the right tool. What you need to do is to choose the right business problem. So what it means. So for example, it literally means, you need to select a very visible data project with immediate business impact. But to give you an example, what can it be? Let's imagine you're a business that provides, technology to other businesses to improve search engine optimization, just as an example. You would have some data sets that your customers would query more than others. So if you choose just these data sets and you will try to improve how they work, the latency on these data sets, what customers are getting out of them, and so on and so forth, it will be highly visible and it will have immediate business impact. Happier customers means retention. Retention means more revenue. More revenue means your CEO is very happy with you. So that's the way how you should approach data analytics versus choosing the right tool. Then obviously you will make it right. You will document your data sources. You will try to collect the use cases under yourself. Avoid silos in the organization. You will be preparing for the growth and so on and so forth. But the key here is not this. The key is the third step as well. Till recently, it was okay to build whole data stack as ready for batch analytics. But if you think again, the world changed and everybody is expecting fast and there is so much data out there and so on, you as a CTO, you don't need to create dependencies on, okay, if my data is already in my data warehouse, can I analyze it or not? How often can I analyze? Oh, there's a latency again in the system. My customers are not happy and so on and so forth. So actually, your immediate impact after the choosing the data right, the data project with immediate business impact would be trying to move from batch to real-time streaming. Real-time means less headcount actually involved because you don't need to do certain things. More things can be automated. And then again, if the technologies are right, then real-time or more or near real-time means again less frustration in the system and more business impact. So it's a little bit like a circle here.
Yeah, interesting. So I think it would be great now to kind of move into how does DoubleCloud actually solve this problem, right? And I think it would be interesting to kind of showcase some of the aspects that are very critical in this journey for CTOs to take into consideration. So maybe you can expand on this.
Yeah. So what we are saying, or what we are seeing a lot, one of the most visible data projects that the companies are out right now working on is when they're providing the data analytics to their customers or partners. So basically, data analytics becomes the part of their integrated into their products or their platforms. And this makes the adoption of their products and platforms faster, and this makes a real business impact. So, and we're working on that a lot, and we're seeing that there are different things, that matters. It's again, I said it earlier, and I will repeat. So, customer-facing or partner-facing data analytics is a very different beast versus internal analytics. The elements will be the same. They would be still, ETL. They would be still data warehousing. They would be still visualization, but the expectations are different. One of the key expectation, nobody wants to see this really thing on the left of the screen. Speed and performance. Speed and performance means two things. So first of all, your user should not leave for a competitor, and it's hugely important. To give you an example that resonates with everybody, Netflix has 90 seconds to propose on their platform something to their customer so they do not switch to a different competitor. And guess what they do? They invest a lot into data analytics so that their recommendation engine is fantastic and it keeps people there. Not only they invest in their own data analytics by data engineers, but they also buying different things from vendors. The other thing is, data analytics should be better than, for example, Excel, right? So how often, how long can you retain the data to offer without compromising granularity? What does it mean? There are tools out there that are long, so the query will take 10 seconds, or if there are several queries at the same time, it can go up to 1 minute and so on. So very popular tools. The problem of these tools also is this granularity, because they're so expensive. You will not keep more than 1 month data with them. But what you need to be competitive is maybe to keep 3 months of the data with them, 1 year of the data with them. This is what you're selling to your customers, and this is the problem, and this is what you need to approach right. Obviously, Ben, you will like it. Security and compliance is an important story. So let's imagine you're a company that provides customer or partner-facing analytics to your end users. Then you don't want these end users have access to lots of things on your company side. You want them to have access only to data analytics, but also have access to data analytics that's relevant to them. So security and compliance is extremely important here. And then obviously you would, think about SLAs. If you have SLAs, data analytics should have SLAs. And obviously we'll think about cost, because if you're if it's about product, it's about platform, your CFO, your CEO, they already calculated the margins. You cannot go into this, you cannot decrease the margins. It will not help. So the choice of the tools and the pricing of the tools should work, and the licensing should work correctly, so that this whole story works. So for example, if we talk about dashboarding, the pricing per user, the license per user, won't work for partner or customer facing analytics, because it will ruin you. It's too expensive. And you don't know if it's 20 users today and 1 user tomorrow, how to price it, so the thing should change. And that's one of the key requirements also we hear a lot from our customers.
Yeah, totally. So usually there's this kind of conundrum around speed and performance and then cost, right? How does DoubleCloud find a way to achieve both of these things at the same time? If you could just, give our listeners some insight into this.
Yeah. So it's a good question. We're passionate about technologies in DoubleCloud. So there are different elements that we're suggesting. Overall, DoubleCloud does what? We give a platform to you with the help of the tools on which you can actually build sub-second data analytics. But what we want is actually to give you a managed open source tool. So like ClickHouse, like Kafka, more coming soon. Please stay tuned on the news. But one of the tool we chose is ClickHouse, and why did we do this? Because of its performance. You see, there are benchmarks out there. Basically, ClickHouse is an OLAP open source database, and it's extremely fast. You see the difference between Postgres, everybody knows Postgres, and ClickHouse is 100. So ClickHouse is fantastic, especially if you need to build a sub-second analytics. It's fantastic for the scenarios we talked about in the beginning, for clickstream analytics, for analytical and customer-facing, partner-facing scenarios, and so on. And then, this is where you talk about technologies and so on. The question is, how it can look with your elements, the customer-facing or partner-facing analytics. This one on the screen is a pretty basic scenario, and with our tools, it looks in the following way. So within your application or service, you would offer embedded charts to your customers. So that would read natively data warehouse, in our case, is ClickHouse. And to this ClickHouse, you're either replicating you seamlessly, almost near real time, data from different data sources, for example, from your Postgres to ClickHouse, or for example, from Snowflake to ClickHouse. So you keep your data sources as is, and you just putting the data that matters into data warehouse, because this is what you need your customers or partners to analyze. But then if you have too much or a lot, and this is your business model, real-time events, you can also use Kafka to feed the data into ClickHouse, so that then it becomes available to the customers. So, for example, we have a customer like this, Honey Badger. Honey Badger is competing with Datadog and other monitoring solutions. And obviously, one of the values that they're providing is a much significant speed, basically, versus other tools out there. And they are under the hood. They are using ClickHouse, and they're using ClickHouse because of its speed, and they're pretty happy with the results.
Interesting. And is this customer-facing or third-party-facing analytics, this use case?
This use case is customer-facing, but it's not partner-facing, because partner-facing, it's a little bit different story. Customers still can connect to one interface, and even you can provide them with some visualization. But with partners, you would need a different scheme, and we're calling this a secured sandbox. And this is actually a real example, and we'll talk about it in a second. But basically, the difference is what? Per partner, you need to give some sandbox where they will have access to the analytics that matter for them. but then different partners will have different accesses to different sandboxes, and that's what you need to build. And obviously you need to build it fast, you need to build it cost efficient manner, and at the same time you keep your for example application or what you have in your private or public cloud, you have it separate from the sandbox environment for the partner. So in here, here you would see the following. It's a little bit similar to what you've seen in the past, but again, it's a sandbox per partner. So you would have a self-service business analytics. Why it's important: you cannot depend on data engineers on your team. You cannot grow the cost again of this analytics significantly. So you just use some self-service serverless tool that doesn't require additional resources from you. This tool again connects to data warehousing, still ClickHouse in our use case. And it connects data transfer, actually replicates the data from the main source of your data or data warehouse, for example, of your choice, to data warehouse of this sandbox. So these are our tools here on the screen, right? Data transfers of DoubleCloud, ClickHouse managed by DoubleCloud, and DoubleCloud visualization for this case. And the customer of ours, actually, what they managed to do with that, they managed to build different dashboards. These are real screenshots that they are providing to their partners. And it's interesting to see, they started the dialogue with us because, they estimated with the typical tools that are out there on the market, they needed data engineers, they needed infrastructure, the pricing licensing was per user, per license, and they realized to build the views they need and to be at the speed that they need with the partners will take 1 year. So, and with DoubleCloud, it was just 1 week till MVP, and that's really was a wow effect for them. So, and that's why they actually build these sandboxes and continue building them for other partners.
Yeah, this is a very interesting example, right? Because I think you kind of underestimate the amount of hours saved in terms of building a secured environment. And also, in terms of manpower and the cost savings, but also getting all of the benefits of the end-to-end ecosystem that DoubleCloud provides. I think also, looking at the use case, if you could go to the other visualization option. We talk more about this use case as well, and the different visualization options that are within the visualization tool in DoubleCloud.
Yeah, that's a good question. So actually coming back to the story of this customer of ours, they had some visualization for their partners, but the problem of the partners was first that the visualization, the dashboarding, was renewed only once a day. Because the whole data analytics was built for batch, and without the sandbox environment, they couldn't do anything faster. So, and second, the dashboards would be done by partners themselves, and because they want, maybe in certain cases they didn't know what KPIs to look into, they were not standardized. So this is what is done by our customer Yango Daily Tech specifically towards their partners. They created a standard set of KPIs to look into. These are, for example, specifically logistics. So they created these KPIs. There are templates, so it's drag and drop approach. There are templates, and then they provide these templates to their partners, and partners, because they now have this sandbox environment which creates a real-time dashboarding for them. They now have access to the right KPIs absolutely any time of the day, and they actually can manage their business properly. So that's the level of granularity and visualization that they got access to.
Interesting. Do these partners have the ability to set like custom retention time for this data, or potentially export this data even within this from the sandbox environment?
Yes, absolutely. It's very, very operational. So for Young Delhi, what do? They develop the African market from a food delivery perspective, and they provide their partners with the technology that matters for them, but also operational KPIs that matter for them. So it's becoming a very granular experience for everybody who's working with them, because instead of thinking, oh, what should I do? Should I manage my business like this or like that? They are taking the experience of the partner, and they, based on these KPIs and granularity of these KPIs, they actually develop their business or help the business grow in the way how it should be.
So let's talk about a checklist. What do CTOs need to kind of do? Where do they start, and what should that journey look like?
So this is basically how I think would be great for any CTO trying to make an impact for data analytics. This is what should be done. So now, so the first, again, question would be, what are the data projects that provide most value to my company? And sometimes this will require to go and meet with the head of business units or your CEO, or maybe look at the business, meet with the customers and understand how things are happening. But the moment you choose the right data project, everything becomes very, very easy. Then the next question, it would be, okay, how to provide real-time dashboarding for this data project. That's important because this is highly visible. And again, visibility into the business for customers or partners, getting analytics for end users means impact for other businesses as well. So that's extremely beneficial. So that's why it's a second point on this checklist. Then the question is about the pricing approach. Basically, if the pricing is wrong, then you need a different tool. And then you would start looking into technical questions. Okay, you don't want to deal with the migration cases. Definitely not. What you want to do is to build maybe some sort of data stores or data marts next to your data warehouse. And you need to answer yourself how to do it. And it's actually a cool approach because first it can decrease the pricing for the whole data stack, because you highly probably your current data warehouse is already pretty big. You pay per scan for the whole data. It's expensive, it's not what you want. But by building data store and offloading certain things to this data store, you would not need to scan the whole data in your major data warehouse, but you would just scan the tiny data store next to it, and then the pricing goes significantly here, and it's tiny pricing here as well. Then yeah.
It would be good to kind of expand on exactly how DoubleCloud solves this problem around, reducing the overall cost of the data stack.
Yeah, so it's a good one. For example, typical cases we would be working with is the following. For example, you have BigQuery, and you don't want to you don't want to migrate, but you need a much better pricing and much better granularity of your data. How you would do it? You would build a data store with the help of our tools and ClickHouse next to BigQuery, and this is what will decrease the whole data stack pricing. Same story would be with Snowflake. We have a fantastic tool which is called Transfer, and you can replicate seamlessly and offload only some data from Snowflake to our managed ClickHouse, and this will allow you to decrease the pricing that you pay for Snowflake and have actually overall stack will be cheaper versus what you have to do, but much more performant because you're addressing the right thing with the right tool. Same would be a story with Postgres. Postgres is a fantastic transactional database, but the moment you start doing analytics with it, you are dealing with a problem of performance. So you need to replicate data, again, almost real time from Postgres to, in our case, managed ClickHouse with DoubleCloud, using still our transfer tool. And this is where it will be possible for you to, again, decrease the whole total data stack and increase significantly the performance of it and get to sub-second analytics. So basically, yeah, basically that's hopefully this answers your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I think that's all I wanted to say about this checklist. Obviously, we are happy to share it, or feel free to make a screenshot of it. Then maybe we are moving to the next stage of our webinar. So we had debates, right? We had debates. Should we do a live demo to you guys during this webinar or not? And actually, we decided that demo as is, it doesn't make too much sense. Usually, this is where webinars become boring. Nobody's watching anymore, because it's not fully relevant to you, or because you would actually want to test it yourself. So as a result, we prepared 2 great QR codes for you. If you want to have a demo that answers specific questions of yours, for example, you have, again, Postgres, and you would love to see how the whole concept of end-user analytics can work for your environment with Postgres, please book a demo. We have a pretty well customized demo for you. We can show you live, how to replicate data from Postgres to ClickHouse managed by DoubleCloud, how to use the visualization next to it. We will give you some customer examples here, how they did it. So feel free to book a demo with a QR code on the left. And if you actually among those people who prefer to test yourself, we have a trial on our platform. Just go register, no credit card required. You have some time to test it fully and understand yourself, how you can create quickly this MVP for example, partner-facing or customer-facing analytics.
Great. Thanks, Natalia. I think this was really insightful. I would encourage listeners to definitely, register for a free trial, play around, and then, generate their use cases, their questions, and then schedule a demo or a session with the awesome solution architects we have in-house to kind of walk through how to start those data analytics, use cases. But this was really great.
You can always reach out to us through LinkedIn or send us an email, or we have a chat on the website. So feel free to reach out. Again, very happy to look deeper into your specific use cases and see how we can help and if we can help. That's basically it. Ben, thanks a lot. I hope you had fun.
Thank you for sharing the insights. It was really good. And thanks for everyone that attended. Enjoy the Easter holiday. Bye.
Thank you. Have a great holiday. Bye.